Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Tonight we're talking about woke proof. Warner Brothers Discovery is woke proof because David Zaslav is focused on brands. We're going to get into why I keep saying that I think Warner Brothers Discovery is in a great situation for producing good content and not doing anything like the woke junk that Marvel has been doing. I've been doing Warner Brothers Discovery videos now for probably about 6 weeks and some prior to that. I've done about 40 of them. It's the playlist. I'll have a link to it in the comments below. But there is absolutely no chance that Warner Brothers Discovery is going to wind up like Marvel. Why is that? Well, I've said this numerous times that I've done a lot of research on David Zaslav and Discovery before the merger, after the merger. It's not the way that they do business. It's not the way Discovery does business. It's not the way that Zaslav does business. And there is not enough money in the world to get Warner Brothers Discovery to kind of go in an opposite direction from their entire management team's direction at Discovery since before they got involved and turned the damn thing around. Now, I've talked often about interviews that Zaslav has done in my research of him, where he's kind of just really surprised me about how he's talking about developing characters and great stories and making sure that they're nourishing. Never heard that word talked about, making sure that content is nourishing for the audience. Maybe it's just me. I've been around a little bit, but no, never heard that before. Nothing that would ever go into the realm of, oh, we're going to subvert expectations. You're expecting Star Wars? We're going to give you a ridiculous girl show. You know, nothing anywhere in that option. No, oh, well, here's our excuse for why we need to do this with representation. No. You get what you paid for every time you consume their content. And on top of that, of course, they have $50 billion in debt and a whole board of directors that's expecting Zaslav to do exactly this, to take the brands at Warner Media and do what they did at Discovery, because they rejuvenated Discovery. Discovery wasn't built the way it is now when Zaslav got involved with it. But to do with Warner Media, with their characters, with their stories, what they did with Discovery. Okay, so there are 4 clips. This video is interesting. I do so much Zaslav stuff that YouTube is recommending me Zaslav videos. And this was one that they recommended me, that he did this interview with Bloomberg in 2018. And, you know, it basically any random interview with this guy, and he's saying exactly the same things. Well, you know, we're interested in our characters and our stories and our fans, and we want them to be satisfied, and they've got to be nourished by our content. He just keeps going on and on about how valuable brands are and how important it is to satisfy your niche audience that you've targeted, whether it's whatever they do, golf, cooking, travel, food, crime, you know, it goes on and on. Oprah's brand, and he also doesn't come off with an attitude like, well, we always know what's right, so we just do whatever we think is right. He does what they think is right, that they've researched carefully, and then he explains later when they find out basically it's wrong, they have to adjust to what people actually like. It's completely the opposite of the top-down woke, you need to accept new representation, new interpretations, all of these reboots. You have to have your expectations subverted. We need to teach you social lessons that we think are important, and never in the form of a well-told story with characters that have realistic struggles that they overcome. They don't do anything like that. All right, so let's get into the first clip. Before we do, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that very much. And let's get into the video.
You talk about disruption in media. There was a time not too long ago when you were the disruptor in chief, in some sense. I watched you from Capital Cities ABC across the street as you created MSNBC and NBC. You created CNBC. How does this compare with that disruption when you disrupted broadcast? Basic cable came in and really disrupted it. How does it compare? What did you learn from that experience you can apply now?
Patience. In that case, Jack Welch and Bob Wright were committed to try and take the broadcast business into cable. For people that were around at that time, it was pretty unusual. And it's important because the business that you think you're going to launch that's going to work is never the business that works. The audience is always going to tell you what they get nourished by. And that's what our business is about. That's what most businesses are about.
See that? The audience is going to tell you what they get nourished by, what the audience wants.
When we launched with Oprah, the Oprah Winfrey Network, we had a dream, Oprah and I, that it was going to be about living your best life. And we looked strategically at the space and said, we can do this. But when we went out with the content, Super Soul Sunday worked terrific, but a lot of the other stuff was too earnest and the audience went away. And we had to figure out, what are they going to come back for? And it took us a lot of years, but we started to listen, what do you like? That's what our business is about. We don't want everyone to watch, but the Oprah Winfrey Network now is the #1 network for African American women. So for us now, we've broken our company in half, essentially. We got half the company that's...
You see, the focus is, what is it going to take to get people to love what we're doing and keep coming back for it? Not what we even think it should be. You know, again, total opposite of woke stuff. Not, hey, this is what we need to shove down your throat. This is what you need to like. We control Star Wars. We control Marvel. There's nothing you can do about it. You need to grow up and just take your medicine. We're going to poison you with this. No, they go out. They do the best they can to carefully predict, what do we think that fans would actually want of this niche, of this audience? What do we think they want? How can we best serve them? And then when they find out that they're wrong and that they can't actually give that to people, because you never know what people want until you see how they respond. It's not just Zaslav and his management team. This is all of marketing. This is all of being in business. It goes beyond producing non-woke content. It is, you produce things with your best of intentions of having people like that, but you have to listen to the response of the consumers. And the consumers will tell you what they want. That's the first video. I think you can start to understand why I'm saying, like, you know, this is 2018. This is 4 years before the merger. This is years before they had any kind of, this is years before they had any idea that they're going to wind up in control of DC characters or any of the Warner Brothers characters or any of the Warner Brothers properties. This had nothing to do with Warner Brothers. This is just their philosophy on taking care of consumers and trying to build strong, profitable relationships with consumers, because there is no strong, profitable relationship unless that consumer wants to do repeat business with you.
They don't. It is hit driven if you're a broadcast network. The way people watch our channels, they come home and HG gets me. Discovery is my channel. TLC in Middle America is the channel that I love. I love Oprah. That's the channel that I watch. That's how they curate. Where do I get nourished? That's the business that we're in. We think that's going to be sustainable, and we think that ultimately they could either pull one of those really big...
You see again what he says? I mean, again, it's the same thing again and again, but listen to what he's saying. It's so important. People come home from work, they turn on the cable channel that they love. They don't go looking through 50 different cable channels. They go to a cable channel. This was from 2018. People do different things when they come home. Yes, there's more streaming. That's fine. But people go to the thing that they love, and they expect to get that nourishment, to get that good feeling about the content that they really enjoy. And they just want to relax and consume that. No subversion of expectations. That is exactly their focus. It's been their focus at Discovery since he's been there. You see? So is there any chance that all of a sudden he's going to say, you know something? Let me interrupt that. Let me prevent people from going to the Food Channel. Let me prevent people from buying DC content, comics, books, whatever they're doing, films. Let me disappoint people just to try to teach them a lesson, because I think I know better about what they should or shouldn't do with their social life choices. He's not trying to do that. He's trying to serve customers. He is the embodiment of fan service. And this is so significant for our culture because Marvel is not going to be able to compete with this. As these films start to get out, hopefully Black Adam is a movie like this. It's coming out very soon. It's tracking to do very well. We'll see how it goes. It's all about the execution and the word of mouth. Who knows how it's going to turn out? I think it's probably going to be good. I would assume that they would have delayed it if it wasn't going to be good because there's too much writing on it. But we'll see what happens. Third clip.
We're in the business of creating stories and characters and getting people to turn on their TV and love it.
You've referred a couple of times to John Malone.
We're in the business of creating stories and characters and getting people to turn on their TV and love it. What more could you ask for? Keep in mind, when he's saying stories and characters, he's not talking about DC characters. He's talking about Martha Stewart, Oprah, Guy Fieri. They did something with Tiger Woods in the Golf Channel. They're in the business, they're in the character and the story business before they're even in the character and story business. That's incredibly significant. So when they look at characters then like Batman and Superman, Black Adam, Wonder Woman, Flash, those are not going to be characters that they're going to allow to undermine expectations. They're just not. There's not going to be any undermining there. You see how the characters and stories and all they're doing is reality show programming essentially at that time? It's incredible. This is exactly who you would want in charge of any intellectual property that you've ever cared about, whether it was Star Wars, comic book characters, movie characters, whatever it is. You would not see a Sopranos like the prequel they did of The Sopranos, where they worked Tony Soprano out of it so they can introduce a representation mafia group, a brand new group leveraging off of The Sopranos. It's a disgusting thing to do, to disrespect content like that. You know, Tony Soprano as a murderer is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's not a real person. He's a character. Stories were told through him. There was a lot of insightful, meaningful stories told through Tony Soprano. You don't go and leverage out the universe for a representation garbage like that. Now, we'll see what happens if they do anything new with Sopranos in the future. But I would be shocked if they would do anything that would disrespect what people actually loved about The Sopranos. Because it's, again, why? It's against everything that they do. It's literally against everything that they always do. And that they've done now for a couple decades of his control at Discovery. What was he there? 2007 or maybe 15 years or something like that. Fourth clip.
We're staying in our lane. And what's going to be successful for us, and we've made this decision. On every one of our channels, we've said, if you don't love us, if you're not one of the passionate viewers that loves survival, if you're not one of the people that love science or that love crime, go find some other channels that you love. When we're creating content for our channels, we want global audiences that really affiliate and have a passion for our characters and our message. And a big piece of that is we're not going for the best rating. We're going for the most potent audience that says, they get me. When I go there, I see something that I love. And if we put something on any of these channels that looks like we're going for ratings, they'll immediately say, what's this doing on here?
Do you see the sensitivity? The incredible sensitivity to developing their content. And in this frame, it was channels, because it's all cable channels, 2018. Develop content so that the people who love that category of content, crime, food, cooking, travel, golf, whatever it was, so that people get a chance to feel fulfillment through nourishment of how well they're consistently delivering their brand. And each one is separate from the other. That is actual diversity. Not, oh, you know what? All of these channels are similar because we're pushing representation throughout them because that's what we're focused on doing here. No, they're not doing that. They have operations in 200 countries, more than 200. They're like in every substantial country in the world, like 230 or something. They have localized offices there. They have sales staff there. They have marketing people in these local countries. This is all from Discovery. This isn't something that they have to integrate from Warner Media's great operation. This is something they already have because they have 10 to 12 cable channels, niche-oriented branded channels. Some of them the same, you know, like they have TLC in multiple countries, for example, but some of them unique depending on the country. They have on the ground people in these local locations tailoring the content and tailoring the presentation of the content and the pricing and everything to that local market. They've been working on this for, ever, basically. I think they've been in the UK roughly like 20 years. They were doing some separate operation in the UK, but they also acquired and took on a ton of debt a few years back when they took over Scripps and integrated their operations into all this. So it's already a very wide, far-flung operation that's niche tailored towards honoring brands locally, internationally. So no, these guys aren't going to all of a sudden go woke. They're not going to continue with silly woke agendas. I know that there's this animated Velma now. There's this animated series or this movie that, they're showing Velma finally as gay. It's like, okay, all of this was in the works. He'll get to this eventually. This isn't on the top of his priority list. What he wants to see happen is he wants to see the DC universe, the cinematic universe, feel like it's working. If Black Adam does well, that'll be a good shot in the arm. And things will be good. They'll get a little pop in the stock as well. Canceling this is not going to make a difference one way or the other for them right now. It's not a high priority. Similarly, they're race swapping Lois Lane in some goofy graphic novel that they're doing, some young adult graphic novel. It's dumb. They don't need to be doing that. This is obviously in the works for a long time. And again, this is below his pay grade right now. They're more focused on the major issues, keeping in mind they have like 40,000 employees coming over from Warner Media, in addition to all of their far-flung international operations. So they have a lot of stuff going on, but this isn't going to continue. The stuff that would be disappointing to superfans is not going to continue. They'll get to it. The reason why Batgirl got canceled, but this silly product comes out, or this animated thing with Velma, okay, Velma's gay, it doesn't speak to the DC brand. People get insulted, and it's understandable. People are disappointed that some of this woke junk comes out. Let's see where it is a year from now. I don't know where that's going to be. I think we're going to know within a few months where the DC cinematic universe is headed, and it's going to be headed somewhere good. And as I often say, they're not selling the company. They have no need to sell the company. They have tons of their own money. They just paid down $6 billion in debt since April 2022 through August. They're doing just fine. But now you get a deeper understanding for why I keep going on and saying, hey, listen, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal that someone who is all about respecting superfans and all about respecting brands and consumers and delivering for them on a constant basis, and then changing the content to make sure it stays to fit what specific brands actually want. None of the Discovery channels have gone woke. They could have gone woke. It doesn't mean they don't have a trans show or whatever. They have that. They have, whatever drag race show or something like that. That's fine, but they're not going and taking brands over and turning them into all representation like Marvel is doing, wiping away the entire history of all those characters just so they can force whatever their social agenda is. They're not doing that at Warner Bros. Discovery, not now, and they're not going to be doing it in the future. Okay, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. You know I love comments. I'm very big on comments and responding and reading to them. I will see you again soon with another video, and if I don't see you, I will miss you.